Hey there everybody, welcome back. I've got my spinner set up today. I'm going to be doing a strainer pour for you. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but this is one of the classic acrylic pouring kind of tricks, where you get these special sink strainers that have slots all along the side, and then as you pour paint into it, the paint flows out and creates a beautiful design. So this is particularly good for beginners, but you can make some really neat effects for any skill level. So I'm going to start out by putting a partial base coat of white on my canvas. This is an 8x8 inch canvas. I'm not going to put paint in the middle because I don't want white paint right at the center of my design. But I want to cover especially the corners, but make it easy for the paint to flow across the canvas as I pour it into the strainer. Okay, so chances are, if you're a beginning fluid artist, you don't have a spinner. Especially not a giant one like this is, and that's totally fine. You can still do sink strainer pours and just tilt them by hand instead of spinning. But I wanted to show you how cool it looks when you get a really uniform flow across the canvas. So I'm going to be spinning mine. So my colors are, I've got burnt umber, metallic copper, phthalo green, and green oxide, and then I'll be layering in some white as well. Okay, so I'm going to put this right in the middle, and then one by one pour some color into the cup. And as I keep pouring paint in, it'll push the paint out and make these beautiful layers. So I'm going to start with the phthalo green, and then the green oxide, I'm going to take them down off of here. That's not super convenient for me actually. And then the brown burnt umber. All of my paint is mixed with Floetrol and water. And it's kind of medium thick. So this should give pretty defined layers, though it's not flowing out of the cup super easily. Okay, and back again to the green. So there are two basic ways to do a sink strainer pour. Either you can pour the colors in one at a time like this if you want clear defined color layers, or you can layer your colors in a cup and then pour it out like a ring pour or a straight pour right in the middle of the strainer. So I'm doing more distinct blocks of color here, but both make really cool results. So you can see the paint is starting to flow out, looking really cool. Also, you can layer your paint exactly the same way every time, or you can change it up. It doesn't matter. I'm starting to put now some white in between kind of the brown layers and the green layers, just to try to make a little bit more definition in my design. Getting low on some of my paint colors, so I'll probably just go until I run out of color or run out of one of the colors, and then pull up the strainer. Having too much paint on your canvas is not going to be a problem because you can always tip off the extra. But not having enough might mean that you have to really overstretch your design to get it to cover. So that's why I added the extra paint on the sides to begin with, so that we wouldn't need to add quite so much of the colored paint in the middle. This phthalo green is almost out, so I'll probably just do 1 or 2 more layers and then call it quits. Finishing up with just a little bit more white. Great, so now I'm gonna let this just sit, let the fresh paint that I've poured in slowly flow out, and then when it's flown out as much as it can, then I'll pick up this strainer. Okay, so the paint is flowing out. You can see it's already starting to go over the edges here, and there's not much left in the center. So I'm going to very carefully pick it up. I've got a folded paper towel ready to catch it so it doesn't drip all over your design. So just carefully lift it up. Whoa, bubbles everywhere. Okay, let me pop those. Okay, so the one downside with a strainer pour is you're left with the middle that isn't always as pretty as the rest of your perfect design. So before you stretch it or spin it, I like to take a toothpick and figure out, I mean, there's some cool bubbles in here, but I think I want to try to draw the lines inward so that it looks, oops, like the rest of the design. I'm wiping off the toothpick every time after I pull it through, just to make sure that I'm not contaminating my colors and getting it all too muddy. Okay, I think that's good enough that I'm ready to spin it, and then we'll see if I do anything else with the middle after that. Okay, so let me just make sure I have space to spin. Great, let's spin. Wow, check that out. Very, very cool. I love how uniform it looks. And that's something that you can't get as much if you're tilting it with your hands. You can get a very similar effect, but your corners will not look perfect like that. So I'm trying to decide if I'm happy enough with this middle, or if I want to, I think I want to spiral the middle, because the middle is definitely the focal point. And so I've just got a little tiny palette knife. You could use a popsicle stick, and I'm going to spiral inward. Okay, I think that makes it look a lot more finished. I'm going to spin it one more time, but not really hard because I don't want to lose a lot of this design. Okay, I think that's enough. Wow, that looks fantastic. Okay, I don't think there's anything else I want to do. Let me take you in for a close-up. This is like a really dizzy and confusing perspective. But look how all those layers show up just on their own without you having to do anything. Pretty amazing. And then I like that spiraled center. I feel like it makes the center look just a little bit more intentional. But there's a lot of different ways that you could do the center, and maybe you like the center looking just how it is when you pull the strainer up. Who knows? But thanks for joining me for this strainer pour, and I hope you try one of your own. They're really fun. Alright, I'll see you next time.